Hey, this is Chris from Future 3D Prints, and today we're looking at a K40D or K40 Style CO2 laser from Haotian Lasers. Now, this is not like the average cheap K40. This is sort of more of a pre-upgraded one. So looking exteriorly, this is pretty fresh out of the box. The first thing you notice is we actually have water temp and power supply temperatures here, which are great monitors and independent with their own battery. Now I have looked over this K40, so having it powered on and opening the hatch as I'm about to do is safe because I've checked everything inside beforehand. It's highly recommended you always do, just in case. But here on the panel we see that we have a couple extra switches. We have a red light switch, which actually gives us a red light guide that we can see down there, so we know where our laser is actually pointing. We've got our e-stop switch. We've actually got our amp meter or percentage power here. We have a test switch, a main power switch, and we also have a lighting switch here for this light. It lights up the cutting area quite well. And we also have a spare switch here for a fan. It is not currently wired up to anything, but it's there if you wish to put some fans here for extra airflow pull through. So having a quick look under here, one thing I noticed straight away is that all the connections are insulated pretty well, especially down in the back here where we actually have some DC power outlets for the accessories, and a ground wire which actually is grounded very well. And we see our power supply and of course the main board or controller for the unit. So these units connect via USB to the computer, and from there you run either the software that comes with it, which is basically an old version of Corel Draw, or you can do what I did and get rid of that straight away and get K40 Whisperer and use Inkscape. That seems to be a lot better program for the controller that we have, unless you upgrade the controller. However, this one out of the box, as I said, one thing that I noticed straight away looking at the gantries is that we actually do have linear rail, and we've got nice cable management as well, which does work quite well. Just make sure my rails are unlocked before I try and move them. It's always important. So you can see the nice smooth action all the way through. So that's actually really good. I do like that. And we actually do have rail slides as well for the y-axis. So that's really good to see. The lens mirror configuration is actually quite nice on this as well, and all of them are adjustable. But yeah, that is actually really good. The copper pipe that you see is also for the air assist, so this comes with air assist as well. So this wasn't added, this is all from factory, this is out of the box. So we have red light guide and we have air assist, all out of the box. So that's what I mean by it's sort of pre-upgraded, because these features that should have been really standard on K40s from the start are already on here. Now the extraction fan on exhaust is pretty much the same as every K40s that I've seen. It does work quite efficiently. I've added a fair bit of tape just to seal mine around the sides there, but it does work actually very well in getting rid of the fumes out, especially with the air assist. The other good feature with this K40 from Haotian Lasers is an adjustable bed. Now it's only adjustable by 15 millimeters, but you know it is good to have. It saves you having to mess around trying to get your focus right here for the lens, because you can place your material here, guide your rail to that material either by jogging it or by hand, and then go ahead and measure for your focus, and adjust just by turning this knob here. Move it up or down quite easily. So the adjustable bed is connected by 4 lead screws there at the back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and there is actually a belt that runs through a pulley here to actually adjust, I've noticed, under this plate. So the only problem with that though is if you wanted to try and use the maximum possible depth that the machine offers you, that you may be tempted to want to pull this out, especially if you're doing a tumbler. But that aside, yeah, good feature to have. Now when mine came, the only thing that was not correct was that basically this mirror had been knocked out of alignment. This is actually probably due to these 2 screws here coming loose and allowing that bracket to move. So one thing that I also noticed with all K40s is that they could do with some blue Loctite on some of their connections. This one is no exception, but I have noticed that there is a lot of spring washers that have been used to help ensure that things don't come loose. So that is always nice. Now with the way I've got my duct set up at the moment, I can't show you the tube, but it is a proper 20 tube. So it's not a tube that you're over driving from the very start or trying to overrun from the very start. And yeah, I've got some videos coming up, well, some footage in a moment that will show this bad boy in action. But essentially the K40s will definitely cut through any kind of, well, not any kind of, but acrylics, very easy, I've actually found, whether it's 3mm or 2mm. And also cut through plywoods, pretty easy. MDF, not so easy, but it will cut through that as well. You can see the hole there is actually from a quick cutting test I did. You can see it's very charcoaled, so you know, obviously I could tune that a lot better, but that was 7mm ply, and we cut through it in I think 2 passes. So that's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. Now I actually have a couple of fiber lasers, so coming from a fiber laser to this is a bit of a shock, in that firstly our laser is controlled by gantries and belts off NEMA stepper motors, and not a galvo head like we're used to with fiber lasers. So inherently that means it's quite slow when it's doing certain things. I have noticed that if you try to speed that up, especially with the y-axis movement, you get a lot of shuddering of this unit, which apparently is quite normal. You can see that there's certain things here that just, I mean, whilst they're missing some, well, it looks like they're missing some screws, they're still fairly tight. Everything's still fairly tight in there. Nothing really rattles as such, but when these stepper motors start really trying to push, it creates a lot of vibration. So because of that, they have to run a bit slower than what those motors could actually go for, especially for cutting or vector engraving. For raster engraving, however, where basically instead of having the gantry move both forward and backwards and side to side, it's more rapidly moving side to side and slowly moving down the material. And I've noticed that that seems to be one of the most effective ways to really get engraving on this. And the cutting and vector engraving, basically you don't really want to go above 25 mil a second, otherwise yeah, it will start making all sorts of awful vibrations, which will upset the material and then ruin whatever you're trying to laser anyway. So Solid Steady wins the race, but that's okay, that's not bad, because when you do that, it actually does perform quite well, and you can get some very nice cuts, or even deep engrave on acrylics. Let's see if I can get this in focus there, so we can see that. So that's actually quite deep there for engrave. I used a bit too much power and almost went all the way through. But yeah, it's definitely worthwhile for having a small CO2 system to complement other lasers, or for you to start into the CO2 world. This version of the K40 is actually worthwhile. So now the pump that you can hear rattling away there is the air pump that they include for the air assist. That actually seems really good. It doesn't get warm or anything like that. Just check that. Yeah, no, it's fine. And these are accessories, including the fan, are actually plugged into the back. So, and like I said, I actually checked all those connections in there, and they're actually solid and they're good. They're not going to arc to the case or anything. They're good. And down in my plastic covered container here, to stop any contaminants, I have a bucket of distilled water with the included pond pump to circulate water through the system. So, and honestly, a pond pump is all it really needs. It does not need anything massive. It is only a small system that it needs to pump through. And if you need more, or if you need to start cooling it, this temperature monitor here will tell you, which is great. And it doesn't have a low coolant alarm or water alarm, or flow monitor. That's something that you could easily add if you wish. But for out of the box, it's got everything that you would expect. So I just, like many people, had looked into getting these K40 systems for quite a while. I am a bit of a tinkerer, but in this case I actually didn't want a laser that I had to tinker with. I wanted a laser that would just work for me. And in all honesty, from all the testing I've done, that's exactly what this K40 version is a K40 that works well out of the box. And I would attribute that highly to the air assist there, and having that from the start really helps. If that didn't have air assist on it from the start, I probably wouldn't be so impressed by this. But this laser with the cable management, the guide rails, it even came with this honeycomb bed. You actually get that as well. Maybe I wouldn't be so praising this, but this system for the money is fantastic. Now, when I say for the money, it is a little bit more expensive. I believe they go for around the 600 USD mark, maybe 550, but I'm pretty sure the 600-700 USD mark for these. And that is literally because you are getting all these extra bits in there. That you're getting the lighting, you're getting the air assist already plumbed through for you, you're getting the red light guide as well for it. You've got the nice cable management and linear rails, and the adjustable bed as well. Plus the honeycomb included. All you need is some materials and then go. So I found the controls here all good. They don't skip or do anything untoward, anything weird or that they shouldn't. So yeah, all in all, quite an impressive unit. Not bad at all. So now let me show you in action.